The year 1990 on the Mississippi River in Minneapolis, Minnesota would be the last time that this man, number 7, Bill Siebold, took a checkered flag. With 900 victories to his credit from the United States to Europe and the Far East, Bill Siebold in 1992 is more than just a little hungry for one more lap of honor.
Every year it's a new ball game, and every time that they drop the green flag, it's a new ball game. Like I say, we're like everybody else. You just keep battling your way up, and that's what we're doing. And we got a good crew, and we'll be there.
Now it's 1992, and new faces have started to capture the flags of victory. And none more driven to compete with the reputation for driving on the edge than this man, number 77, Scott Gilman. Although problems have plagued his racing team early in the season, it has taken only one good start in Saskatoon, Canada, to push him into the spotlight as another contender in a tight race for series points leader. And the right to wave the checkered flag onto the Big Wheel Rossi Powerboat Classic from Minneapolis.
The Bud Light Racing Series is brought to you by Mercury. At Mercury, we're driven to win. By Jeep, only in a Jeep. And by Ski Ray by Sea Ray. Set a world record. Own a Ski Ray.
Welcome to the Big Wheel Rossi Powerboat Classic from the Mississippi River in Minneapolis. As we mentioned at the head of the show, Scott Gilman captured his first victory of the season last week in Saskatoon, Canada. But in Saturday morning testing, Gilman barrel rolled in pin 3, tearing up his boat and putting more pressure on his team to keep the racing equipment healthy as well as the driver.
We barrel rolled down in the far turn there, and the water's a little tricky down there because the river's flowing so fast. And so we got a lot of parts wet, and our EFI box was wet during qualifying, so we qualified way back. So we're going to have to make a run at them and try and come from behind and have some fun.
As time trials got underway, it was not long before speeds of 128 miles an hour on hot laps were like a natural breeze on this 1.3-mile course until boat number 88, Felix Sorellis, in his blue Don Q Crystal boat, took to the race course and laid down a blistering 130.3 miles per hour. But before anyone could blink an eye, Steve D'Souza in his green and black number 94 Interstates Batteries colors edged Sorellis out of top spot by 12/100ths of a second to take the pole away from Sorellis.
I think I know the quick line around this race course. So you know, I've been here probably 7-10 times over the numerous years here. I think that there's a line that helps you get through the quickest, and if you don't figure it out in your test sessions, then it could slow you down a little bit.
But as Greg Foster took to the Mississippi River, his crew already knew it would take more than just a good run to beat D'Souza out of that number 1 spot.
I'm on the pole. If everything works good and I get a good start, I'm gonna try to lead the thing. If not, I'm not gonna get myself into trouble either. I want to be running at the end and finish, and I'll be somewhere up in the front.
So with Greg Foster on the pole, Steve D'Souza now sits second on the dock with Felix Sorellis holding down that 3rd place position. It's a warm and sunny day on the banks of the Mississippi and a perfect afternoon for racing. Hello, everybody. I'm Steve Michael, along with race announcer Walt Yarborough, and welcome to Minneapolis for round number 4 of the Formula One World Championship Boat Racing Series. And today, Greg Foster from California has put himself squarely on the pole, Walt, for the 2nd straight race in a row.
Yes, but behind him is Steve D'Souza and number 88, Felix Sorellis, and only 12/100ths of a second divide all 3 of them. There's going to be great competition here on the Mississippi, a 1.3-mile course going underneath one bridge, and it's going to be some super action.
A quality field. It should be a lot of fun, so don't go away. We'll have all the action from Minneapolis when we return right after this. Welcome back to International Outboard Grand Prix Racing from the Mississippi River in Minneapolis. And as we get set to line up for 50 laps of pure excitement, Walt, let's take a look at the series point standings.
Well, Steve, it's Greg Foster out of Orange, California, sitting on the top of the point standing with 1,302 points. 115 points behind him, the man out of Augusta, Georgia, Steve D'Souza. In 3rd position, number 7, Bill Siebold. He's 282 points out of the lead. Rounding out the top 5 out of St. Petersburg, Florida, is Bill Joel. And in 5th position, the 1990 champion, Mr. Scott Gilman.
And in 1992, the IOGP Series payout, well over $500,000. And in addition to this, Mercury has a championship contingency fund of $50,000. And if you win the championship, the driver will receive a 1992 Jeep Cherokee and a 1992 Ski Ray by Sea Ray package. This both well over $40,000. So you want to win it all in 1992.
Absolutely. And when Greg Foster's sitting up there in that first position, he's hoping, Steve, to maintain, to stay where he's at, and to take it all home for 92.
And as the drivers line up, focusing for the Le Mans start of this 50-lap race, let's take a look at this 1.3-mile course.
This race course situated just north of downtown Minneapolis on the Mississippi River, where it begins to narrow and wind up through northern Minnesota. Down the backstretch of this race course, you have a natural right-hand turn. It's very fast and very dangerous, as many have found out here on the Mississippi. Here, just one example as what has happened in turns 3 and 4 in the past. If the driver is able to get through turns 3 and 4, then they can really set sail down that high winding front straightaway with an arcing turn underneath the bridge. And today we should see straightaway speeds over 140 miles an hour.
And let's take a look at the starting lineup. 19 boats ready to go, with Greg Foster on the pole at 131 miles an hour. Steve D'Souza, Felix Sorellis, Ben Robertson, and Bill Siebold round out the top 5.
And as we look down through the rest of the field, the biggest adversity the drivers may face this afternoon could be the 20 to 25 mile an hour north to northwest wind running right across this race course here just off of downtown Minneapolis on the Mississippi River.
Tremendous crowds on the banking ready to go. They're just seconds away, and Walt, it should be an exciting and very fast race.
With this modified Le Mans start, you can see everyone starts off together. At 94, Steve D'Souza gets out very quickly with number 53, Greg Foster, right there behind him. D'Souza in the green and black, Foster in the red and yellow Pioneer Hotel.
This is the most dangerous pin that we just talked about. If 19 boats can get sail through here successfully, it should be exciting to watch him head down this front straightaway for the first time, and it's D'Souza holding on.
And D'Souza in the green and black, he has really got it high-winded down that front long straightaway. He sets it right off. He is really putting the hammer down from the very beginning.
Wow, the driver who won the last event in Saskatoon, Scott Gilman, keep an eye out on him. He is making progress early, as is Ben Robertson, who started in the 4th position.
And Robertson's gone wide to the outside in his Spirit of Indianapolis and is closing hard on Foster and on our leader, the green and black of Steve D'Souza.
Weather conditions already playing a factor early in this race. You see Greg Foster having a problem getting through that very difficult complex 3 and 4, but not this man out in the lead, Steve D'Souza. He is driving an English Burgess build hull. These hulls are used to the heavy water, and they're going to need it today because with the swirling winds, you're going to need a very fast boat, but more importantly, a stable boat in the corners.
And one of the biggest problems they face with this north-northwest wind running across the Mississippi River is underneath that Broadway bridge. There's a compression of wind under there. The boat goes under, the compression drives the boat down to the water. When it comes out underneath the bridge, it pops back up again. And it can be tough on the man running out front, trimmed out, and really letting it fly.
Walt, interesting to keep an eye on today, the way the drivers come through these very difficult corners. Some like this, the boat just going through. The red, white, and blue Budweiser boat likes to take a narrow line. Others, like this man, our leader, like to come through wide.
Well, sometimes D'Souza will take it down hard on the pin. Other times he will go wide on the turn. Their biggest problem again here is having to actually drive the boat in a crabbing position, going down the straightaways and able to overcome those severe crosswinds and then set up for the turn. These drivers all equipped with power trim. They can adjust the angle of attack of the motor mounted on the back of the boat, which will change the attitude of the hull from flat on the water to nose up. Now look on the inside. You can see both of them coming through there. They come underneath the bridge. They set the boats back down. They set them for the turns. They come off the turn. They hit what's called the up button, and you can watch the boat come right up in the air as it begins to lift off. He comes underneath the bridge. It compresses the air, then it pops out coming out. The green and black of D'Souza on the inside, the red and gray of the Spirit of Indianapolis of Benny Robertson. He's in a hard chase after him.
D'Souza, our leader, starting to pull away from the pack a little bit at a time. D'Souza led by 1.5 seconds after the first lap. He has now stretched it out to 1.7 seconds, so he is starting to inch his way away from Ben Robertson, who is flanked off on his left right now.
Yeah, the red, white, and blue of Bill Siebold is pulling up with Greg Foster in the yellow and red Pioneer Hotel right back there in 4th position. As they're all pushing hard, you can see Ben Robertson come off that corner. He hammered it. The Burgess hulls have a tendency to almost leap off the corners. The design of the boat by David Burgess, just outside of London, England, designs the boats to pop off the corners. Well, you can see the Siebold designed hull of Billy Siebold right back there runs a little flatter attitude on the water, but is a little more conscious of rough water conditions.
And that's something new for Bill Siebold. He used to like to fly his boats, but now he likes to bring them a little bit closer to the water.
And as they come off the corner, you can see number 77, Scott Gilman, trying to move up through the pack, but it's that man right there, Benny Robertson, who has a fast lap under racing conditions of 119.2 miles an hour.
And Bill Siebold, who is up to 3rd position, started in 5th, and he is very determined, Walt, as we talked about, hasn't won yet, but this man would like to win for the 2nd time this year.
And he would like to win here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where in 1990 he was able to carry the checkered flag. And number 53, that's Foster, coming up right behind him as they're all chasing hard as the field begins to spread out. You can see as they come out of turn number 4 there, come underneath that bridge, you can watch the nose pop up. That right there, number 77, Scott Gilman, running an all-white cowling. He borrowed from Greg Quirk, put his sponsor's name on the back of it, and got back out on the race course.
Gilman on the charge at the moment, started 9th, is up to 5th. He is less than 8 seconds from the man out in front. So Gilman is starting to really move up through the pack.
And they're all chasing that man, the green and black of number 94, Steve D'Souza. As there you see number 7, Billy Siebold, as Siebold comes up, and then behind him wide to the outside. Running back in again, 5th position is number 77, Scott Gilman, as he pressures from the outside on Greg Foster as they all push towards the leaders. There's number 57, Benny Robertson. He's dropped out of the race.
And Robertson has to be shaking his head. Joe McMillan, his crew chief, that's the 3rd time in 4 races they've had to drop out of an event.
And this man right here in the green and black, that's Steve D'Souza. He's a professional outboard racer out of Augusta, Georgia. He's run very well all year long. He knows a victory here would give him a solid lead going into the back half of the race season.
At the moment, the exciting matchup is the battle for 2nd place. Bill Siebold being challenged by Greg Foster on the outside as they go into turn number 1. And they are moving quickly on our leader, Steve D'Souza, who has to fight off back markers.
And this could be an opportunity for number 53, Greg Foster, and number 7, Bill Siebold, to close in on the leader as Foster, wide on the outside, just puts the hammer down and screams up into 2nd place as Bill Siebold in the red, white, and blue Bud Light falls back to 3rd.
Different drivers, different lines, different philosophies about driving through here. And this man has got a real problem. Larry Davis spun out and barrel rolled down in turn number 3.
Well, that's that turn number 3 we've been telling you about, and it hit another one. Larry Davis out of Hinesville, Georgia. And Larry's got himself in harm's way. That current flowing downriver will pull him out of turns 3 and 4 right into the race course. And we'll expect a red flag to come out and stop this one because Larry's going to have to be moved. Goes down between turns 3 and 4. It's tough, it's dangerous, and the river is flowing south from that point.
And the procedure from this point on, Walt, is what?
Well, Larry Davis will be taken into the paramedics to be checked over. We'll have a restart here on the Mississippi. All of them will line up again, and we'll be back to beautiful downtown Minneapolis right after this.
Welcome back to Minneapolis. 7 laps down and 43 remaining. We are set for a restart here. Larry Davis barrel rolling down in turn number 3.
And very quickly, they get away on the restart. The green and black of Steve D'Souza going out with the white and black of number 77, Scott Gilman. Very quickly, here you see them coming down underneath that Broadway bridge. They'll come underneath. The wind will compress. You can see the boats lay flat and then pop back up again as they come back out on the inside, the green and black of D'Souza. And then number 43 coming back there in 3rd position. That is the young man out of Augusta, Georgia, Rusty Campbell. And he's back up there running in the field. Number 7, Bill Siebold, falling back off the pace, along with number 53, Greg Foster.
And Walter, our 2 drivers at the moment really making an impression here. There you see Scott Gilman in the black and white machine. He started 9th, he's up to 2nd, and right behind him, Rusty Campbell, who started in 7th, is up to 3rd. So we've got a couple of new boats charging towards Steve D'Souza, who again is out in the lead.
And D'Souza very happy he was able to take over that lead. And there's the young man out of Augusta, Georgia again, Rusty Campbell. Coming right behind him is 53, Greg Foster, taking it hard around those turns with Bill Siebold and Bobby Humphrey in the bright orange entry. But it's the green and black of D'Souza. He looks in his rear view mirrors. As you notice, Steve, during that stop and the restart, Steve D'Souza took off his totally enclosed canopy. Some reason he is wanting to run without that canopy. He's taking the chance of having a full blast of water hit him in the face because he is no longer driving an enclosed canopy boat.
Well, he and I have talked about that a bit. Sure, it slows the boat down to maybe fractions of a second, but also he feels a lot more comfortable with him wearing glasses and then putting a shield over with his helmet.
Yeah, with the canopy on, he had to look through 3 layers. There's number 11, Michael Sebo, coming up. There's the reigning national champion, Greg Wynn, and behind him, the blue and white Maxi Blast of Billy Joel.
You know, as the race goes on, let's take a look at one of the secrets of speed in the 1990s for these Mercury engines, the EFI box, and here's Dan Marcellus to explain it to us.
This system that you're looking at here is an EFI control box designed specifically to control and manage the fuel for this high RPM Formula One Champ engine. We've developed this over the years, and we found that it works so much better than carburetors at controlling the amount of fuel the engine needs at any particular moment. There's nothing like it for overall durability and performance. We've now been able to take that same package and apply it to our high-performance outboards, and we get the same benefit, only in a little bit different avenue. We're able to take a consumer engine and give him the performance and the response of a high-performance engine and yet great fuel economy and overall running quality that's really high. You know, as we look to the future, injection is definitely the way to go to meet future emission standards and to get the smoke and the emissions down to a very minimum.
11 laps down, 39 remaining. The battle continues to be up front. Steve D'Souza being chased hard by Scott Gilman, who is now less than a second behind, and Rusty Campbell is up to third. Greg Foster was the pole sitter, fighting back and forth, and here comes Gilman.
And Scott Gilman, his whole crew burning the midnight oil to get him ready to back in this race, has done a tremendous job. Here comes the red and yellow. Greg Foster out of Orange, California, as he chases up there in third position. And there's Gilman coming off the corner. He is really setting it up hard. He looks at his rear view mirrors. He knows what's going on out there on the race course. He knows D'Souza's out in front of him, and he looks at the rear view mirrors and sees Foster in behind him.
And Gilman is really flying on this course at the moment. And the driver has gone over. That's Roger Glover out of Reno, Nevada. He started in 16th position. He had worked himself all the way up to 10th. This race has been stopped. We'll have more racing from Minneapolis when we return right after this. Welcome back to Minneapolis for International Outboard Grand Prix Racing. I'm Steve Michael with Walt Yarborough, and we are set for the second restart wall.
They're lined up, and there they go. And getting off very quickly is 53. That's Foster, and the green and black of Steve D'Souza. But look at him accelerate up on the inside. 77, Scott Gilman. He is taking the winner's line as he goes up hard on the inside, cuts back across the race course. He's running on with Foster and with D'Souza on the outside, and going on the inside is 77 Gilman. During the break there, he was able to change propellers. He put on an acceleration prop, and it seemed to be the ticket, Steve, that he needed out here on this race course.
People in racing call it a hole shot, and he got exactly what he wanted. Clear water out in front of the rest of the pack, and now everybody else is playing catch-up to him.
But he's taking a lot of chances running an acceleration prop on this long course here on the Mississippi. He is winding that engine up extremely tight. He's putting the equipment right on the edge, trying to take the victory here in Minneapolis.
Well, for people who really don't understand that, Walt, let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, what happens is these engines are prepared to run about 94, 9,500 RPM with a normal running propeller on them. When he puts an acceleration prop on, he's going to have that engine up around 9,800, 10,000. And look at him get loose out there. He's got a lot of lift in that propeller, a lot of acceleration, but he's putting the engine right on the line at close to 10,000 RPM.
Something to remember that these drivers are facing right now. Crosswinds up to as high as 20 to 25 miles an hour blowing off from the northwest, which is mean it's coming off their left cockpit. Right there, they're going into the wind. And at the same time, with the sun going down, some parts of this race course, it's becoming a little bit treacherous as they look into the sun.
They look into the sun, then they have to go into the shadows underneath the Broadway Bridge. They go in and out of the sunlight. Also, the wind diving underneath that bridge compresses and makes it tough out there. This is a very dangerous but highly competitive race course.
Good battle going on in the back of the pack for 7th place, Craig Wynn and Billy Joel.
And number 53, Greg Foster. Now he's running up in 2nd position as the young man out of Orange, California, sponsored by the Pioneer Hotel out of Laughlin, Nevada, is trying to push hard on 77 Gilman, but Gilman begins to stretch it out on the field.
Well, Foster now just 2.3 seconds behind the leader. He is chipping away at his lead a little bit at a time, so now all of a sudden Greg Foster is finding more speed.
And a man who's had a lot of speed this afternoon is number 43. That's a young rookie. Well, he's not such a rookie. He's a 4-time national champion in Mod VP, racing his first year in Formula One. He's up in 3rd position. That's 43, Rusty Campbell. There's number 11, Michael Sebo. He's back in 5th position.
Seabold is charging his way up. Now he's taken advantage of a couple of restarts, and he is now in the picture. He is up in 5th. He's still got a ways to go. D'Souza trying to move up after being up in front for a very long time. He's still back into 3rd place. The battle right now was with Gilman and this man, Foster, and Foster has got a problem, and he is out of the race.
And number 77, our leader, Scott Gilman's on the radio to his crew chief. He wants to find out why the blue and white flag is out. Blue and white flag, it denotes that on the race course there's something wrong, but you continue high-speed racing. He's found out now that Greg Foster is out of the race, and that takes the pressure off the young man out of Colorado.
And guess what, Walt? He's got a big smile on his face because the green boat behind him, Steve D'Souza in 2nd place, is way back 27 seconds behind our leader. And here is the battle right now. Mike Seabold is starting to make a charge for himself. He is up to 3rd.
And Seabold laying there in 3rd position is moving up on the inside, is going wide to the outside, is number 94, Steve D'Souza. The green and black Interstate Battery trying to take advantage of his high speed by staying wide on the outside, and coming down to the inside is number 11, Michael Seabold. They all chase that man, 77, the black and white chip and pepper of Scott Gilman.
With just a few laps remaining, this man, Steve D'Souza, is visibly slowing. Now, we had reports earlier that he was not feeling well. He was getting a little bit of the flu bug, and it looks like it may be taking its toll. I think he's getting weary out there.
And believe me, he's not feeling well at all as Mike Seabold goes down to the inside. He accelerates hard off the corner. D'Souza gives it all he's got, but number 11, Mike Seabold, has taken the top place honors for speed as he gets around 94 D'Souza as they go underneath the Broadway Bridge.
Seabold showing a lot of speed, now pulling away here on this very last lap, and he will take 2nd place away from Steve D'Souza.
And it was last weekend in Saskatoon, Canada that he won. This weekend in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the checkered flag goes to 77, Scott Gilman. Mike Seabold able to take 2nd place away from the green and black of Steve D'Souza.
And now the Gilman racing team has to be ecstatic. They started way back in a 9th position. They come home with a victory, battling their way through a couple of restarts, capturing this 50-lap event here in Minneapolis. But also, Mike Seabold has to be very pleased. He was way back in a 9th position. He charged his way up and finished in the runner-up spot. So as Scott Gilman takes it around in the victory lap, we'll be back to Minneapolis to talk to the winner when we return right after this. Very happy crew from Colorado here in Minneapolis. Scott Gilman has won his 2nd race in a row on the IOGP Tour. And let's go down and hear what he has to say. He is a very happy young man.
We jumped up to 9th, from 9th to 4th, then there was another restart, 4th to 1st, and then we barely held it from there. Greg Foster was just breathing down our neck, and he ran out of, I don't know what happened to him, ran out of gas or broke a switch, I believe, and, we're just real pumped up right now.
Well, there's a new leader on the International Outboard Grand Prix Tour for 1992, halfway home in the standings, and Steve D'Souza now has moved up with 1,587 points. He's 54 points ahead of Greg Foster and 130 in front of Scott Gilman, who now puts himself squarely in the picture.
And consistency has been the #1 asset of the man from St. Louis, Missouri. Bill Seabold is now up in 4th place in the points overall. In behind him, the other half of the Seabold racing team. By virtue of his 2nd place finish, Mike Seabold now up in the front. Only 331 points divides the leaders.
Halfway home in the International Grand Prix season, and right here in Minneapolis today, Scott Gilman started things off 9th on the dock. He came home a winner, and Walt, I think most people didn't expect to see him on the winner's podium when the day was over.
Nope. He barrel rolled on Saturday, but his team, the Chip and Pepper Wetware, Smiling Jack's Marina, they burned the midnight oil. They say hard work pays dividends, and number 77, Scott Gilman, he paid off this afternoon, storming to the front and winning it all here in Minneapolis.
4 rounds down, 4 to go. We're off to Winnipeg. For Walt Yarborough, I'm Steve Michael saying so long from Minneapolis.
The Bud Light Racing Series was brought to you by Mercury, by Jeep, and by Ski Ray by Sea Ray.